Hello and welcome back to another NWCL Beyond the Boundary. My name is Colby Donnelly, and today I'm with Feniscowles player, commit member, and junior coach, Mick Bleasdale. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you for inviting us on.
Real. So, firstly, could you introduce yourself, please? So, just tell us about yourself and your involvement at Fenny.
Yeah, I turned 40 last year. Been involved with the club since I was about 12 or 13. My back garden, literally just down the road. So it's actually a multi-sport facility. We've got football there, cricket, tennis, bowls. So I've been involved with the social aspects previously, been treasurer and on the committee there, being part of the trustees. That it's ultimately a charity that sits above the social and the teams. And I've just been around the cricket club. I'm probably in nearly every role possible. Played for the first, seconds, captain doors. I've been treasurer, but I've sort of tried to step away and I don't want to roll, so I'm not pigeonholed anymore. But yeah, just really enjoying playing cricket for Fenny, and my lad's coming to an age now where he's really engaged with it. So building that junior aspect as well.
Right. I think the good place to start is regarding the decision that Feniscowles made during the winter. It was like your first team was going to drop out the first team or senior division, what you want to call it. Can you explain that decision to us?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think it came out of the blue for quite a number of teams and everybody else. But we'd we'd gone down a path really. It was a very difficult decision because obviously we tried so hard when we were in the Ribblesdale League to become that senior team. But I think we'd gone down a route whereby every year we were constantly trying to recruit from outside the club and further afield, and we're paying a pro, and it was like, what are we doing this for? And ultimately, we're a multi-function club, and we should be giving back to the community. We welcome anybody to Feniscowles to play cricket, but ultimately we need to engage in our community and bring those players in. And it just got to the point of, what are we doing this for? Because I've been there for a number of years. We've got like a number of players that are in the region of, I would say, 30 to 40 where I am. Now then, we've got a natural gap because not a lot of us have had children. So naturally, you would see those youth players come up, and we've got a youth section, but it's almost like we've got a generation gap. So we embrace the decision. We're proud of the decision in ultimately trying to rebuild the club, from the bottom up again, and that stems from being being a more sustainable club, for the future, for the longevity of Feniscowles. Um, in terms of the strategy for that, it's building for the future. It's putting the foundation in. It's getting better equipment and investing in our players currently and the youth of tomorrow. So we have a number of initiatives that we're going through at the moment in investing, and one of those is a two-lane permanent net that we can train on all the time. At the moment, we're wheeling it on, wheeling it off, and they don't they tend to degrade quite a bit. The nets when you're doing that a lot. Um, Engaging with the community. We need to be more vocal from a social aspect, get people down, nurturing talent. So we've got the pros money, if you will, and gone and said, right, what are we going to do with this to make this club better? And we've taken that money and basically brought in a coach, Richard Dearden. He's been about, he's been everywhere really. He's even coached in Barbados. And the thing is with Fenny and a few of us here is the fact that we're probably institutionalized at the moment in a way because we've only really known how Fenny runs, and from that point of view, where it's good to get somebody that has seen, different committees, different clubs, how they run, what they bring to the table. So he's really helped us with that and engage in, the training and really shaking it up. And that all comes down to once we've got this established, maintaining it for the long term future.
Yeah. And I would assume in the long term, your long term goal would be to go back in that sort of in that first team division. Internally, have you set dates on when you want to get there, or have you kind of just, for the time being, set your initiatives, work on what you're doing, and then hopefully that will eventually get you to where you want to be in years' time?
That is the ultimate ambition. Yeah, we want to be in that senior league again. You know, we've got teams in and around us, good relationships with them. I think it's been good to see that local clubs and clubs that we've played against have actually supported us in this decision as well. It's been really good to hear that. But yeah, we want to be with the big boys again, with a professional, but with a sustainable model.
And obviously, you mentioned a few kind of negatives or things you might have missed out on from not being in the first team division. What positive would you say you've experienced this season, what you might have not experienced in the last few years?
I think the major positive is that we are a close community, and there's still a lot of players that have been playing for a long time. Now then, players come and go in cricket clubs. Everybody knows that, and it's hard to keep hold of them. People have families and fall away. I think one of the main positive is the fact that some of those old boys have come back. They've seen what we're trying to do, and they've engaged with it. They've come back. They're enjoying the training. They're enjoying playing cricket again, which is really good. And the other positive I mentioned just previously is the training, having more structure to it, having not relying on the first team or second team captain that has a private life to sort training out, get there a little bit early, set it up, hiring that coach where it's disciplined and structured has really helped us, and it's helped everybody, kick on as well, really.
Yeah. And obviously, you're captain this year. So for your first team, you have Andy Allen as captain, and for your second, you have Matthew Natras as captain. Can you talk about them and what they bring to both teams as a skipper?
Yeah, Andy's my best mate. I've known him pretty much 40 years. He brings a wealth of experience of being captain. He's been I won't put a number to it, but he's been a captain at Feniscowles, be it first or second, for quite a number of years. So it's just good to have him at the helm because he sees things on the pitch that other people don't see. And he knows the game, he knows what's expected, and he's one of those, along with Matt, that have got these players to come back. We're having a laugh in training, and all that's down to ultimately a lot of people come to play for a captain or a friend. So it's good to have him around from that point of view. In terms of Matt, I can't thank Matt enough. Going back to what I was saying, it's a rebuild. Not to be perfectly honest, we're two or three players short, really. On making it more competitive for a first and seconds. We're scratching round every Tuesday. As I said, people have a private life, and it's probably taking more time out of his private life than what it should do just to pick a team, if you will. But we're hoping that with what we are putting in place, then we are putting ourselves out there and advertising ourselves as a club that people will want to be part of this project, this long term project. And I think he's got a good relationship, and we all have a good relationship with Scam and Brinscall Cricket Club as well. So we've had a few loans from Brinscall that has helped us, and hopefully that'll help their juniors as well.
Yeah.
But Matt, it's both on and off the field. He was actually our club person of the year last year. and he's kicked on. He can't do enough for us.
Real. And obviously, with the decisions, have more players to develop more in your team, especially your juniors. And I remember a few weeks ago now, one example was George Slater. He took a second team FIFA, and I think it was only his second senior game. How nice is it to see players like George reach these milestones due to certain actions that's been took in the club?
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. And Paul, who's George's dad, he's the chairman. Was obviously reluctant. There's a balancing act on whether a junior is ready. You don't want to throw them in because that can do more harm than good. This was more a back to the wall, but he has really embraced it. He loves playing for the twos, getting that fifer. His dad was playing in that game. His mum was scoring that game. So it all around the club, everybody felt good for not just George, but the Slaters in general. And it was nice to present him with the cap as well. So one of the initiatives that we've done this year is that when a junior does make that adult team debut, they actually get a Fenny cap, and on the back is embroidered with the fixture and the date. So that's theirs to keep, as a memory into the future.
Real. And she mentioned for Slater's family at Feniscowles. I'll mention, and I don't know if it's a relative here, but Critter Bleasdale. Obviously, you play first team. Are you brothers? You relatives?
We're brothers, yes, yeah. And again, another player that has come back, and it's getting them back. Chris was like, "Oh well, I might be able to play every other week. I've got work commitments," and I don't think he's missed a game yet this season. And he's played at Bear Cup in the Lancashire League previously when he was younger. The game got abandoned on the weekend due to thunder and lightning with 5 overs remaining, and he was 92 not out. So he really does bring a lot to the club, and yeah, I'm proud to have him as my brother, and play on the same team as him.
Yeah. And you mentioned before about the competitivity of the cricket you play. Obviously, your teams may not be up to the quality and the standard that you might want it to be. Obviously, looking at your first team, you are in that top division of conference premiership, which is very competitive. You've got a fan with won it the last 2 years or so. How have you thought the competitivity has been in the league, considering I think you sit third bottom in the league. How have you
Yeah,
kind of found that experience?
I think he's been really good. It it was hard to gauge how many players were going to stop. Dropping out of that senior team, how many had come just to play in that league, how many had come just to play for the first team captain. Um, but it's good that we've embraced that, and a lot of the games we haven't been the ones that we've lost. We haven't been blown away. We've had some really tight games. I think Padium went down to the last ball of the game, or three balls to the end of the game. Um, but we beat Salisbury in a really good Salisbury team that I think is still up there. We can compete, and that's what we need to be doing as we bring these new/old players in. And again, the training is really, really helping us get to the level we want. And fundamentally, we need to we feel our position is artificial at the moment. A couple of things go our way, and we would have been further up that table.
Yeah. And alongside your first, second, and third team, you also have a girls' softball team at Fenny. What benefits has this brought to the club?
Lot. It's really, really good. I think it builds a bridge. There's obviously wives and girlfriends that play on there, so it's good from that point of view. But we've got four ladies that play for our hardball team now as well, in terms of Emma, Maya, Meg, and Emily. And Emily has scored for the men's team as well. So, we're building bridges there. There's a social aspect, and it's part of our initiative of making cricket affordable for all, and whatever age group you're in, whatever gender you're in, whatever you want to do in terms of cricket, we want to give you that opportunity to play.
Yeah. And you also have an under nines and 11s team at the club in the Northwest Cricket League junior section. How important is this to the club strategy? As you obviously you are a junior coach as well.
Yeah, this is the pinnacle of our initiative. We currently have an under nines and under 11s. The plan next year, really engaging going forward, is to have two under nines, an under 11s, and an under 13s. So we have a plan over the next few years on how that will grow. Obviously, getting to the 15s and the likes, and getting those youth players into the adult teams. Obviously, it becomes a bit of a machine in terms of what we're trying to do, and that includes needing more coaches, needing more volunteers, which hopefully we can get. But yeah, that is our pinnacle really of what we're trying to achieve.
Mm. And as a junior coach yourself, how have you found since you first did your coaching badges? How have you found the experience of being able to play a part in these children's, hopefully they'll continue playing cricket into senior cricket. How have you found to be a big part in their career?
Um, it is really rewarding. I must admit. Um, you spend all week at work, and my first thought on a Friday afternoon isn't, shall we coach 40 kids cricket? Because that seems really hard work. And by the end of it, we're all exhausted. We've all had a good time, but it is brilliant. I mentioned my lad Ollie plays for the under 11s as well, and it's it's good seeing him develop, in and around his team and everybody else, and it's like a bittersweet. It's really difficult, always having to umpire or whatever, and not being able to sit down and relax and watch your son. But it's so brilliant when they do something magical right in front of your eyes and you are close up. So it's a bittersweet thing. But overall, I just think all the coaches have done brilliant this year in getting our youth set up. We literally more than doubled our youth setup in from the 2024 season. And we're building that. We're making it more affordable for everybody. So it is really rewarding.
Real. It's great to hear. I now want to talk about the committee at Fenny, and obviously you mentioned that you are on the committee as well. Could you talk to us about the management structure of the club and how you get the finances to allow cricket to be on?
Yeah, you sort of have to take yourself out of cricket to sort of understand. As I say, it's a multi-sport facility. So you have the trustees that sit over everybody, and it's a registered charity. To run the ground, they have to outlay over £50,000 a year, which is obviously a huge amount of money. So we rely on the bar to raise those funds, as well as sponsorship in and around the ground. Um, in terms of what they're trying to do, they help us with the grant funding, i.e., for the permanent nets, and what we're trying to do over the next few years. And we'll try and do what we can to bridge that gap in getting those grants and funding. And they have aspirations, so it's not just a cricket initiative, but they have an aspiration to improve the clubhouse. Um, Unfortunately, they've had to scale that back. I believe it's a multi-million pound project, but they've had to scale that back because they are needing more funding and more grant, assistance. So everything is moving. We want to have a club that is inclusive. So that's making sure that we have changing rooms for all and things like that. But ultimately, they look after the maintenance of the ground, and then we look after it from a cricket point of view. Um, so because it is a shared ground as well, we have limited ways of fundraising. So we've got to think out the box a little bit. But ultimately we want to get to that model where it is affordable for everybody to play cricket because it can get expensive. When you're talking about buying playing kit and then you need helmets, pads, the lot of it. You've got your umpires and your scorers at a weekend to outlay. So any kind of sponsorship and things like that is really paramount. Um, Over the last few years, we've had Aid for Umma, which is our principal partner, and they've really helped us out, from a sponsorship point of view. And that's a reciprocal thing as well. So they help both people in need, both locally and abroad. So we've done distributed food at the local shelters on behalf of Aid for Roma in our like cricket kits. And we do sleep out to help out every year as well. So we sleep rough on actually on the tennis courts at Feniscowles every year to try and raise money and to give something back to Aid from that has really looked after us over the last few years.
Real. That's great to hear. And when you have your committee meetings at the club, I assume you have it maybe once a month, whatever you do. Do you kind of, in the last 6 months or so since you made this decision, would you say the positivity is really increasing in the meetings and everyone seemed to get on board and everyone's on that, the exec there, kind of on board with the decisions that you've done and was really excited for the start of this season?
Yeah, we we have a nucleus of I'll call them brilliant people that keep us ticking over, volunteers that do things on and off the field, and it's I mentioned before, it's a brilliant time because you're at the start of the project, and it's quite easy to get sucked into the. We're a couple of months in, and we're scratching around for a team, and is this the right decision? And ultimately, we all believe it is the right decision, and that's what we are working to. Any kind of overhaul is always going to be a little bit difficult at the beginning. So have we had those conversations? Have we made the right decision? Yes, we have had them because I think you always need to take a step back anyway and reassess. But yeah, we are all engaged. We are all up for it. And ultimately we will succeed in having that complete use set up, a sustainable model, and getting back into the senior league.
Real. So obviously with the North West League that we can expand in the league. What would you say the positives that you and Fanny have experienced since being in the NWCL?
Yeah, I think he's been brilliant. I really do. A good set of clubs in the Rib League, but he's almost like it's like Groundhog Day in the fact of you're always playing the same teams. It's been good to be going to new grounds and playing against different teams and seeing different people and engaging. I think from a junior setup as well. I remember in the final year of the Rib League, there wasn't we didn't play that many games for the under nines. So it's been really good that you've got a lot of teams that have come over and engaged the NWCL youth setup, and we've got a game every week. It's brilliant.
Yeah. And would you say the league
I
would
like
quite
this. Sorry, I do like the social aspect as well, where you're constantly engaging with everybody, keeping it relevant, your teams of the week and things like that.
real? And would you say the league's given a lot of support to you at the club? So when you made that decision in the winter, obviously it's not ideal from a fixture standpoint, but from what I've heard, you made the decision early, you let us know as soon as possible. Would you say the league giving you a lot of support with that decision in the last 3 years?
Absolutely brilliant. I haven't spoken to Tracy personally, but I know that Matt and Paul have a good relationship with Tracy, and other individuals there as well. And we couldn't have asked for more support, to be honest. Asking us obviously, do you want to come back? What is your ultimate ambition? And we want to be, you know, standing with our peers in the NWCL as equals really.
Yeah. And what improvements do you think the league could make to attract new clubs in the future? if any?
Um, I'm not entirely sure. It's a difficult one, really, because I think what we've got is good. Um, you mentioned something on kits, and it sparked a little bit of of an idea because white kit is brilliant, and I suppose it's this affordable cricket again, but we're not making these decisions for me. I'm 40 years old. I'm not going to be playing in a few years. You talk about coloured kits. Is that something that we need to keep those juniors engaged in cricket? Is that something that they all play in blue kits, or what are their coloured kits at the moment? Do they want to play in the coloured kits as they progress into the senior team? I don't know the answer to that, but it'd be interesting to see, really.
Yeah. And it wasn't that long ago when I was playing junior cricket at 7, 8 years ago. Everyone wore white kits. You had the odd exception where you would wear coloured kits. But nowadays, what I've seen as a coach for Tongue, every club is wearing coloured kits, and they got their own sponsors. So it brings the sponsorship revenue back into the club, and it is a possibility what an option what people can do, and we're bringing back senior cricket. Whether that's for me, I've never understood whites. You as a kid, you always tell don't get your whites dirty, and you're playing cricket in your whites, and you get for the sake of getting mud and stuff all over it. But yeah, like you said, it could definitely be something to look at in the future if the new generation come into cricket would like to see that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I think the other one that I thought about, to be honest, and Walkden held a great event yesterday, yeah, last season for their under 11s. But if there was sort of a day tournament for the juniors or something like that, that was like an NWCL tournament, that was potentially ability led, depending on league, so you don't get someone that's going to run away with it, but maybe something like that to keep it engaging for the juniors as well.
yeah, I remember back in the Bolton League in that last season, what we actually did, we did the 100 competition. So our 100 were quite big back then. And we had 44 interleague players or people on the verge of interleague in the under 15s, I think it was. And, our mixed team, you had a big day out, like a finals day sort of thing, where you would all play against each other. It was, you had sponsors for it, you had, food vans, Bolton FM was there. It was really good. So I definitely think that's something that the league would be interested in, maybe this season or next season when we get put a lot of time. I'm sure from what you were saying from other clubs, that clubs would be interested in that. I know Lassie Bridges put some on. So yeah, definitely, I think that's something that that could happen.
Yeah,
But going into some quick fire questions about yourself. So I want to know your favourite cricketing memory.
yeah. I don't bowl anymore, but I played at Withnail. We were actually in the Chorley District League when I was playing as a junior, and I had figures of 6 for 32 off 16 overs. So it didn't have the over limitations back then. And I was a leg spinner as well. So 2 and over as a leg spinner was brilliant. And I probably didn't really look on it as fondly back then and realize how good it was. And probably because I find it so hard to bowl now, that really stands out.
Real. And the best player you played with and against.
Yeah, I'm not very good with names and definitely not about the opposition. It's always good seeing different faces and the faces you see year in year out when you go to different clubs. But I'd probably be really corny here in just saying it's good just going out there with your mates. I mentioned before, um, Andy, I've first team captain, known him all my life, pretty much since I could walk and talk. Playing on the same team as my brother, and a lot of of the juniors that came through the junior section that were all still playing really. So I just like getting onto the field. My body doesn't like it as much the next day anymore, but it's just getting out there. And my ultimate aim is to be on the same pitch as my son. Ultimately that's where I want to get to. or
Real.
still be able to.
I'm sure that could happen in the coming years, definitely. And the favourite ground to play at in the Northwest Cricket League, besides obviously Feniscowles.
Yeah, I think Cherry Tree. I'm going to say Cherry Tree, and it's not really down to the ground or anything like that. They have a good bar, obviously, which is good, but because we are so local, on a good day, it's like when Cherry come down here, you know, we we're rivals, but we're also quite good friends. We'll have a drink with each other and things like that. So with it being local, we tend to get more people traveling to the away ground. So it can create a good atmosphere.
Yeah, similar to Reed and Padiham. I know they're rivals, but they're also good friends. I will raffle on the same. They always play football together, and obviously it's really good. You are still friends on the pitch. You will still play competitive cricket, but
Definitely.
obviously it's nice. You have a drink afterwards, and so that's what cricket is about, isn't it?
It is, yeah, definitely. Play hard, but then as soon as you come off that pitch and over that white line, that's gone. We have a drink, we have a laugh, and that's what it's
Yeah,
about, isn't it? We pay to play cricket. So we might as well try and enjoy it.
yeah. And your favourite cricketing legend?
Yeah, I think it has to be Andrew Flintoff, Freddie Flintoff. I think just because um, it cemented my that thought anyway, watching his recent documentary. But the fact that he is sort of a local lad, he made it up not through the the cricketing proper channels, and you know became a legend. For England really. It has to be.
Yeah, I'm probably a bit too young to remember Freddie playing for England, but from since doing these, I've asked these questions, and everyone's between say 30 to mid 40s have said Freddie Flintoff because he's
Yeah,
such a icon. You see all the documentary recently and how the aura he has in cricket. Not many players have the same as Freddie, and you can tell why he's definitely an icon to so many.
yeah, I
Um,
agree.
and your biggest pet peeve in amateur cricket?
You probably get this answer a lot as well, but obviously those days when you when you're taking the covers off, putting them back on, taking the covers off, it has to be, hasn't it? It's a brilliant sport, cricket. And out in the sunshine, everyone loves it, but that little bit of drizzle and are we going to call the game? Are we not going to call the game? That is the one where you stood about going, why am I doing this?
Yeah, it's very frustrating. And I think last season the league brought in a new rule which you could play in the rain, you could start in the rain. I
Yeah.
think that's it up to the umpire discretion, obviously. So you might get different umpires saying different things. I think that's probably helped that thing, but nothing worse. You waste a full Saturday and you're just waiting there. Is it going to be on? Is it going to be off? And you're stood under covers. It's so frustrating, especially like you said on the weekend. You're 92 not out, and then you get pulled off, and it's probably not the best feeling in the world, is it?
No, no, not at all.
So I think that's all the questions I have. Is there anything that you'd like to add before we finish?
No, I just, like I said right at the beginning, thank you for inviting us on, really, and to give our side to the story. There was probably a lot of questions out there being asked about, what we are trying to do. Are we properly scaling back? So it's a good opportunity for us to advertise as well, what we are doing, and hopefully um, people resonate with that. And thank you for the support of NWCL and the well wishes from the rest of the clubs in the league as well, really, that have supported us.
So, thank you for coming on, and I'll wish the best of luck for the season.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.